Purposeful Courtship. I am Terica, and today we're going to be talking about deal breakers. We're going to talk about what they are, why they're important, and I'm going to give you a few examples of some deal breakers. Now, deal breakers is another step before you actually enter into courtship. It's another thing that you need to have in place before you get involved with anyone. A deal breaker is something that is absolutely necessary for you to have in order for the relationship to work, or something that you want to be absent in order to make the relationship work with the person. Deal breakers are things that, okay, if I see this is present, it's not going to work and I need to break it off. Or if I see that this is not present, it's not going to work and we need to break it off. So they are important because they are there to help you to save you time in a relationship or with a person. Because if you immediately see deal breakers in the beginning, you can know that, okay, this isn't gonna work, like we don't need to go any further because this is here or this is not here and it's not gonna work for me. Now, that's not to say that if you see a deal breaker present that you automatically just break off the relationship, but it is something that you should bring to the attention of the other person so that they can be aware of it, and maybe they will change it, maybe they won't, maybe that's a deal breaker for them as well, and then you guys can decide from there. But it's something that you should already know and have at the forefront of your mind. What I like to do is to make a list. Okay, I need this, this, and this to be present, or I need this, this, and this to be absent. And if it's, not there or whatever, I'll bring it to the person's attention. If they're not willing to make that change, then, we know we can't go any further. And it's not something that you need to ignore or that you should ignore. Because courtship is not the time for compromise. This is a very important time because you are looking for someone that's going to be, that you're in it for the long haul with. So you don't want to have, if you have a deal breaker there, you don't want to compromise on those things. That's how you end up with roadblocks later on in your relationship. Like, you can meet someone and could say that, oh, this guy is perfect in every way, but one of my deal breakers is that I want to have children and he doesn't. But it's like, he has everything else. He has the job, the money, the personality, we're compatible in every way except for this one thing. And it might sound like it's a little thing, but trust me, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, because a woman who wants to have children, who wants to be a mother, that's not just going to go away just because she's in love. The love may mask it for a little while, but it's going to come back and it's going to be big and it's going to blow up and it's going to be a roadblock in your relationship if you marry that guy and then later down the road, you start talking about kids again and he's like, well, I already told you I don't want to have kids. And now that's an issue, that's a conflict, that may be something that you guys can't work past. So it's not a time to compromise on your deal breakers. And these are not, your deal breakers aren't shallow, weird things like he gotta have an 8-pack or he gotta be Puerto Rican with long hair or something like that. Like, it's not crazy stuff like that. It's important stuff. It's big stuff. Because, there's a difference between a deal breaker and a preference. Like, yes, everybody has preferences. Some people won't or prefer to date with or court within their race. Some prefer, or it doesn't matter to some. Some prefer tall guys, some prefer short guys, some prefer light skin, dark skin, it doesn't matter, long hair, short hair, no hair, all of that stuff. Those are preferences, but they really shouldn't be a deal breaker because your preferences can leave you alone, honestly. Because what if you meet a guy who has everything, that you're looking for, but he's not as tall as you want him to be? Like, you want somebody that's 6'2" or whatever, and he's like 5'9". Are you really gonna dismiss him because he's a few inches shorter than what you desire? Like, that's a preference. It's not really, it shouldn't be a deal breaker, because that's just being shallow. Like, as far as looks, of course, you have to have the attraction have to be there. But I mean, if everything is thrown off just because he's a few inches shorter than what you desire, then that's something you need to check within yourself, because maybe you're not ready for courtship, because that's kind of weird. But I'm going to give you some examples of some deal breakers, some big deal breakers, some important ones, like the one I gave you about children, because that one is just not just going to go away. That's a big one. So you need to make sure in the beginning, not in the beginning, you don't want to start courting someone and automatically talk about having his kids, because that can run him away. But I mean, make it known. Pay attention to how they talk, because he could talk about children and he could voice his opinion of not wanting to have children. He could voice his disdain for children. Not saying that he necessarily hates children, but he's not fond of them. Maybe he doesn't want to be a father, and it won't come out, in the conversation and during the courtship. And then maybe at that time, if he mentioned it a few times, you can ask, hey, well, do you want to have children in the future? And if he say no, then, there's your answer. You could you may have to break the relationship off because that's going to be a hindrance for you guys. Religion is another big one because if you're a Christian lady, the Bible tells us not to be unequally yoked, and that's not necessarily, yes, that's with a believer and an unbeliever, also with your level of understanding as well, because he may be a baby Christian and you may be a seasoned Christian, and then a lot of things you guys don't see eye to eye on. He may not be ready for that yet, he may not be there, so that's something you also have to take into consideration. You want to make sure that you, before you get involved with anyone, that they understand how important your relationship with Christ is before you go any further, because he may be any other kind of religion. Like he may be religious, because some people say, oh yeah, I'm religious, or I love God, but God is such a generic term, you don't really know who they're talking about. Like, what God is it, big G or little g? You don't know what God they're talking about, so you need to be very clear with that. And that should also show through your lifestyle. They should be able to see that. They should be able to see Jesus in your acts, your walk, your clothing, your life. So that's another deal breaker there, idea for a deal breaker. Substance abuse, alcohol, smoking, all of that kind of stuff. If you are, interested in someone, but one of your deal breakers is you don't want to be with someone who drinks, bring that up. Let them know. If you see them, if you guys go out and he orders a drink, you guys can talk about it. That could be a gateway to that conversation. He's ordering a drink, so you guys talk about it. Like, how often do you drink? What do you drink? Oh, I'm not really interested. I don't really want that in my life. I don't want someone who drinks hard liquor, that kind of stuff in my life. You never know. He may be very invested in you, in the relationship. He may value it and say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to drink anymore because, I value what we have here and I don't want to lose that over some alcohol. Bring it up. Don't just count people out because you see a deal breaker present, but you always want to keep it at the forefront of your mind. Pay attention to it. Maybe he'll stop doing it for a while, but then later you see him pick it up again, or maybe he won't do it in front of you, but you find out that he's still doing it. So pay attention to it, okay? Pay attention. Smoking, monogamy, believe it or not, some people be like, oh yeah, I want to court, I want to be married, but then they don't think that they have to be monogamous in the marriage. Like, I want you to be my wife, but I got a girlfriend over here. No, we don't do that. So make sure, it's crazy because some people have like crazy ideas of marriage. Make sure your idea of marriage is the same. And they might be like, yes, I want to be married. I want you as my own, but I also want her too, and I want her over there. So be careful with that. Make sure we're being married, we're monogamous, we're exclusive, just you and I, not us and them too. Like, it's just us. A deal breaker for me, let me see, one of my deal breakers is communication. Communication is a big one, and I guess that's kind of weird for me to say because I am a quiet, reserved type of person. I don't talk that much, but if I'm courting someone and I'm trying to get to know him and he's not really opening up and talking to me and I can't really get anything out of him, it's kind of like, what's the point? Like, I get it. Some people are not talkers. Like, if I'm in a public situation, a group setting or whatever, I might not talk as much. But if we're having a conversation and you can't keep the conversation going, like, that's kind of a turn off for me, because then it's like I'm talking to myself. Or if you text me like 5 times during the day, what you doing? And it's like, what are you doing? Stop asking me what I'm doing. Like, that's annoying. And it's like, you don't really have anything to talk about. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about something. Or if I bring up something, at least be able to add to it. I don't mean you have to be a philosopher or some deep thinker or something, but have something to add, to bring to the conversation, because that will drive me crazy. And it's annoying. Like, so that's one deal breaker for me. Another one is lying. Lying is a big one, and it might sound like, oh, everybody lies, everybody tells little white lies or whatever. Maybe true, but like, people who lie for no reason, like some guys just lie for no reason, and it's like, what was the point? Like, did you gain anything from that? Did you, like, wow, what you lying for? So it's like, that's a really big one for me. Like, just be honest. If you don't like something, be honest. If you do like something, be honest. If you don't want to be exclusive, or if you do want to be exclusive, if you don't want to be exclusive, if you got this going on, like, be honest, but don't lie for no reason. Like, if I call you and say, where you at? And you're like, oh, I'm over here or whatever, but you're not really there. And it's like, there's really no point. Like, I'm not calling you, like, checking up on you every 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people just, they don't have a reason. It just roll off the tongue like that. And then, like, it can get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then that's the issue. Like, just be honest, you know? So, deal breakers are very, very important to have. It's very important because it also shows that you know what you want going into the relationship and that you are, you know, sure in yourself. So the best thing to do is make a list, write them down. Like, when I meet a guy, he needs to have this, this, and this present, or this, and this needs to be absent. Like, there needs to be no alcohol, no substance abuse, no lying, you know, none of that. And I do understand and I do know, because I'm not perfect, nobody's perfect, but I mean, these are the big things. These are things that you cannot ignore and that you cannot compromise on. These are things that you need to have at the forefront of your mind always, so that when you meet a guy and these things show up, you're prepared for them. This shows that you know who you are and that you know what you want going into it. So keep those in mind. Take out a sheet of paper or your journal and make a list. Keep it nearby, rehearse it, know it, pay attention, because they will or they will not show up, and you need to be ready to address it when it does. Okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please, you know, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to discuss or any questions that you might have about what we talked about today. Hit the subscribe button and let's stay in touch, you know, talk back to me. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Purposeful Courtship, and I'll see you next time.